Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by my channel, Cosmic Light Body. My name is Mark, and in this video I wanted to talk about a conversation I had recently with my guides explaining to me what I could do better to get the subconscious mind or the ego on board. It was really interesting. It came down to something that the ego is lacking and searching for. So this one's really, really fascinating. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I appreciate you stopping by. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I would really appreciate it. So why does the subconscious mind, or the ego, we'll use the term ego in this video, create such a problem for us? Well, problem's a matter of perspective, right? So I was communicating with my guides last week, and we were really getting into this situation of why, with all this expansion, all this energy, the growth that's happening, why do we tend to revert back into the mind? Why does the mind continue to get charged and create difficulty for us to, create resistance that continually pulls us out of alignment and makes us go off in the direction opposite of our goals? So what they were telling me was that the mind is constantly searching for something, the ego. It's constantly searching for something. So it sounds like lack, right? Well, what is the ego lacking? Well, the ego is lacking the presence of your soul, okay? We come into this world and we are bombarded visually through, through the five senses. All the five senses kind of take over and they become the dominant force. And that then creates the mind. The mind starts to build up these programs through religion and through education and experiences. It has traumas. It develops a narrative of how it thinks the world should look and how you should be acting within the world. So it tries to create that reality based on these sets of rules that it has. And it does that because it's lacking something. And our society is so focused externally that the ego is missing that presence of the soul. Okay, so it really doesn't know where to find it. The soul would bring so much comfort to the ego that the ego would just simply relax and melt into it. It would say, hey, wow, you're here, soul, higher self. I could relax and I'm going to just let you guide me. That's what the ego would do if it felt the presence of your soul. So, we awaken. We become aware of the ego, of the mind. We start to create space. We do all our modalities, and we ground as much of our soul energy, our higher self, as we can. And during those times, we're able to kind of back the mind off a little bit, create some space, and start to take control over our destiny. But then we get triggered again, and off in the mind we go. And the mind wants to create that reality based on its programs, okay? Because it doesn't feel the comfort of your divine light. So what does the mind do? It's going to create comfort based on what it knows. So it's going to put you in a relationship. It's going to put you in a job. It's going to put you in a business, whatever it may be, any situation, based on the rules that it has, okay? Which is not in alignment with your life's purpose, your higher self. And that's where we get into the resistance. Well, even after we've awakened and we've started meditating and we do our breath work, whatever we do to anchor that light, why do we continue to get triggered, and why do we continue to let, to fly off into the mind? Well, it's because we don't have stability in our light. When we do this work and we raise our vibration and we feel really, really good, the mind will relax a little bit. We'll feel the mind relax. Okay, but then something will come up again and off we go. And the mind says, well, I've kind of felt something there, but it's not really there anymore. So back into the programming we go. And this happens over and over and over and over again. That's why these are called patterns. The brain, the mind, the ego will want to continue to run these patterns, and then you will therefore make decisions based on these sets of rules. These are limiting beliefs. We've all heard that, right? What we want to do is we want to anchor so much of that presence, so much of our divine soul, our divine light, that the mind and the ego feels at home and completely just relaxes. It's called trust. Okay, when it's here and then it's gone, the mind doesn't trust it. Okay, so it goes off again and identifies with the patterns and creates based on that paradigm. When we can anchor this and we can live this way, then we could create such a stable presence of our divine light within our body by doing our breath work and our channel breathing and our modalities and meditation. The mind will eventually relax. Now, how do we get the mind over to that space? Well, the first thing that we do, and this is one thing we were talking about last week when I was with my guides, is that we want to do this work of anchoring our presence when we're feeling good. Because, when we're feeling good, we don't have resistance. So that's really an opportunity to ground and anchor this presence. And it starts to create habit. It starts to create the default, okay? When we fly off into no man's land of the ego, then we're in resistance and we have to work our way back slowly. So what we want to do is we anchor that. And when we anchor this presence, when we're feeling really high vibrational, it tends to just naturally loosen the mind in all circumstances, because the mind will feel the warmth of your light, and that will bring it comfort. It will begin to trust that the presence is there. Okay? So as we do that, then it becomes easier when we do get triggered to start moving the mind back. Now, another thing my guide said to me was when we're doing this work, this anchoring work, because we get our energy flowing, our divine energy flowing throughout our body, throughout our channel, and our vibration goes up, this energy will start to flow out and reflect out into our reality. It's almost like a fountain comes up from the ground. It comes in, down to the ground, comes back up, and fountains out around us. And we could start to identify that high vibrational frequency in our external reality, such as, if we go like for a walk through the woods or nature, or just wherever outside. Being outside is a great place for me. You could easily identify the beauty and align with those higher frequencies. Now, the mind is so focused externally that if we could really anchor this feeling and anchor this presence within us of our soul and allow it to flow outward and to be able to identify it and become aware of it, we could very easily, when the mind starts to get triggered, point the mind in the direction of that manifestation of that higher vibrational frequency that's sitting externally. Something in nature, whatever, a loved one, something, whatever it may be, that is a representation of that resonant frequency. So now the mind's using the senses, okay, as it sees, or even it hears. Maybe it's a bird, maybe it's something outside. And we allow the mind to use those senses to shift. And when you do that, if you can hold this anchored high frequency, you will feel the mind relax. And as the mind relaxes at the very moment, that's when you want to take it to the body. So we're allowing the mind to align with something externally, okay, using those senses, feeling the warmth of your light, feeling that higher frequency, feeling the comfort, and trusting it's going to relax. Then you take it in, and that's how we integrate it. And this process, what it actually does is it breaks down the programming, the old habits, and starts to develop new habits. So we're telling the mind, the ego, we're going to move directly to something that represents a higher vibrational frequency and feel it, and allow that mind and the ego to relax and take it into the body and ground it. And as you do that over and over again, you're going to make it a habit, okay? And the mind is not going to rely so much on its programming anymore, because it won't have to, because it's going to trust your divine energy, your divine soul, your divine light within the body, because it can feel it. And all we have to do is direct it there. That's it. When I was in Phoenix last October for an energy seminar, I had an incredible experience. We were doing a deep meditation, and I moved up out the crown through this violet pool of light into a vastness of white space. And in the peace and the love that I was in this space was nothing like I had ever felt. It was completely amazing. And I remember in this space, I was able to feel that inner child, the ego, so to speak, in that space with me, and it just relaxed. It just completely let go. It realized in that moment that there was something bigger, something of a higher frequency that was there to guide it. And it realized that in that moment, it could let go. It did not have to figure everything out. And that was such an incredible experience. I'll never forget it. And if we could learn to anchor that feeling and steer the mind into it so that it could realize that this divineness is living within you and that it does not have to control everything, you will feel it relax. And then the ego will become a tool for you to utilize instead of the captain of the ship. So I hope this video really helps you guys. If you liked it, please hit the like button, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. Thank you.